These Baltimore Ravens, seemingly the kings of the regular season, coming off a 12-5 season, as my co-host looks on in disgust for the team that he so eloquently and lovingly refers to as the Ratbirds. We're talking about these Baltimore Ravens. Look, 12-5 on 12-5 coming off the 2024 season where they won the AFC North. Looked like a juggernaut, and unfortunately, they fell short to the Buffalo Bills there in the playoffs, which kind of is a little bit of a broken record there for Baltimore Ravens fans,
Yeah.
looking so good and falling short in the playoffs in those key moments. They lost a lot and they gained some. So we'll go through them. It's a little bit of a mixed bag of the players, the loss, and personnel. And then Derek's going to kind of decipher all this after I'm done here. All right. So Deontay Johnson gone, which I think he had one catch and one very big slip that would have been like a 50-yard catch. That's about his time in Baltimore. Nelson Aguilar, who found his hands after losing them in Philadelphia, is no longer on the team. Patrick McCarry, a really good interior lineman for them for a while. He's now with Jacksonville with a couple of those younger draft picks stepping up there. Michael Pierce, big boy, is now retired, as well as Brent Urban is a free agent. Special team great Chris Board is now with my New York Giants. Cornerbacks Arthur Millette, Brandon Stevens, and Tre'Davious White are now gone. Stevens, obviously, really the most impactful there. White really couldn't find himself after the ACL and Achilles tear. Now he's back in Buffalo to try it. But Stevens was a starter for the team now with the Jets. And then Marcus Williams, who didn't really work out at safety, was part of the problem in that secondary early half of the year. And Justin Tucker, we're just going to move on and not touch that one. Don't want him to get too excited on us.
That's right.
All right, we're going to go to the additions here. Cooper Rush comes to town from Dallas. Nuke DeAndre Hopkins is in the building, which is just interesting. He's a bit old, but hey, I mean, he's still big and got a really nice catch radius. Joe Noteboom comes in to be the swing tackle. They drafted Mike Green, who's got some off the field issues, but he's a good player, so we'll see how that works. Brought in some older cornerbacks who were very good at one time, but can they stay healthy? And Jair Alexander and Chidobe Awuzie. And then the safety out of Georgia, Malachi Starks, who's going to have to step up pretty much right away with the major injury that we'll talk about here in a little bit to that safety position. So put your unbiased hat on and tell me what you think of this offseason from the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens just, however they keep doing it, I don't know. But they just keep bringing in guys at key positions that are just absolute studs. And I think in this offseason, they made some incredible moves in their secondary, bringing in Jair Alexander, one of the best cornerbacks in the league when he's on the field, drafting Malachi Starks, who, again, kind of slipped in the draft. Right. He's an absolute stud coming out of Georgia. But other than that, I mean, overall, this is just kind of rinse and repeat for the Ravens. I think, they have had Zay Flowers and Bateman over the last couple of years. They've developed into a nice pair there. But, they still don't have like that bona fide absolute stud wide receiver like we were just talking about with the Bengals.
Right.
But at the same time, they don't need them. This is Lamar and King Henry's team at this point. It'll be interesting to see, will Derrick Henry continue to be the absolute stud that he is as he's moving through his 30s with grace and, just coming in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I think they did well. I think, the secondary was a bit of an issue, although they cleaned it up at the end of the year. Yeah. So they addressed that. I think Mike Green, if he works out, could be a nice pass rusher. And we'll see what DeAndre Hopkins can bring. I mean, even if it's just some size or just some ability to make sure.
Yeah, I think that's a similar move to a couple years ago when they brought in OBJ. To be honest with you, just an older veteran wide receiver that is probably past his prime, but he can still come in on key third downs or something and get some good key yards.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got great hands. I mean, the
Oh, yeah,
separation obviously was never really his thing. So,
for sure.
yeah, possession. If even if he can get some of those key third downs, that would absolutely be great. Now let's talk their injuries because they do have a couple,
Yep,
more than really any other team, and it's not a ton. But the big one, safety Adarius Washington, who was really key in bringing in part, for that secondary that was super beat up.
yep.
He tore his Achilles in May, so pretty much safe to say. I mean, that's like a 10 to 12
He's
month
done.
recovery. Yeah, I mean, I know they're keeping the door slightly cracked for a Super Bowl run or whatever, but yeah, he's probably done. Probably you're almost definitely not seeing him this season because even if he does make it back by some way somehow, I mean, you're not going to play a guy who hasn't played all year like in the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
right?
and
So,
and they brought in some key, secondary help to begin
right.
with. I mean,
I mean,
uh,
Malachi Starks is going to have to step up. He's going to have to
well,
play day one.
no doubt, and Jair Alexander, he's going to be one of their outside corners. But Chidobe Awuzie, not too long ago, was a pretty damn good corner himself. So
Absolutely.
he'll be kind of taking that first guy off the bench spot most likely.
Yeah, and a Duzier, talking about him, just a minor ankle injury picked up
Yep.
in training, picked up in June in a practice. He should be good to go for training camp. Just one to
Yep.
monitor. But Jair Alexander, we'll spend a little time talking about him because availability has been his biggest thing. I mean, I think out of 64 games or 68 games, he's only played 34. Like he's only played basically 50% of the time the past like
Right.
4 years, and that's the reason he was released from the Packers. It just didn't
Yep.
work out. He had a PCL strain that he tried to come back from and ultimately kind of got shut down at the end of the year, and he had arthroscopic surgery.
Yep.
So it was a little bit of like he said she said. If you ask Jair Alexander, he said he had a PCL tear, but the surgery apparently was not reconstructive. It was only an arthroscopic, which just means like they
Right.
cleaned some stuff up. They didn't repair his PCL, so that means it wasn't fully torn.
Correct.
So, with it just being an arthroscopic surgery, more of a 2 to 4 month variety, not anything super long. That was in January. So he has 9 months to recover. So, are you concerned about that injury or that surgery coming into this year?
No, I'm not terribly concerned with the surgery itself. I think timeline wise, he's got plenty of time. Jair Alexander, he's just a funny, kind of a funky dude,
Right.
just as a whole. I'm more concerned with just him and his headspace,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest.
That's fair. I mean,
But yeah,
fair.
injury wise, he should be fine.
Yeah. Coming into the year, he should be healthy. But yeah, he's got an extensive injury history. We talked about it. And like you
Yes.
said, whether it's
Yes.
been some uh mentally escalated things or whatever it may be, some of it is definitely real and some of it, who knows, maybe being a diva. It's a concern. The number one predictor for an injury is a previous injury of that body part, so
Yep.
he's had quite a few. So this is one of those where if he stays healthy, I think it's a smash signing. I think it could be one of those steals of the offseason.
Yes.
And if he continues to be unavailable, then thank goodness they
It
picked up
doesn't matter.
Chidobe Awuzie, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, overall, like we've been talking about, I think it's mostly rinse and repeat. That they're gonna have a pretty damn good defense. Their offense is going to be able to move the ball. It'll be interesting to see if their O line can hold up as well as it did last year
right.
as a whole. But what are your thoughts as far as the big boys up front? I know
Yeah,
you like talking them.
yeah, I just, it kind of grew to the point of like they're always going to have a really good offensive line. Last year, though, I mean, at least early on, they were not the best unit.
Struggled a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to that Chiefs game week 1 for sure, but Lamar took a little more sacks than he did, and they just didn't look quite as dominant. So I think that was really one of those calling cards for them the past couple years. So now as these young bucks, Linderbaum, Voorhees, Feale, get a little bit older here, I'm interested to see if they take that step forward. Ron Stanley, when he's healthy, is one of the best left tackles in the game. You brought in
Sure.
No Boom to kind of be that swing, so it still projects to be a good offensive line. But they really they need them. I mean, that's how they play. They played nasty. They play run first offense, and they need that O line to step up. And it's just such a huge part of that team. So I'm interested to see it. But I do, like you mentioned, that they have a great secondary on paper.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out. So, all right,
Right.
let's go to the betting space here. These Baltimore Ravens 12-5 last season. Win total sitting at 11.5. Some juice to the over, around minus 115, minus 125, depending on where you get it. To make the playoffs, minus 500 to minus 550. To miss the playoffs, plus 390 to plus 360. To win the AFC North again this season, minus 150, minus 145. To win the AFC, plus 340. And then Super Bowl, plus 650, plus 600, and plus 700. I think they're the odds-on favorites. I think them and the Bills right now, and most of the sports books to win it all. Again, team that always performs in the regular season.
Yep.
Playoffs, just a different story. So where are you at? I'm gonna imagine your fandom won't let you take a future here, but I gotta ask: any futures or win total plays here?
You're absolutely right. I am not taking any win totals, make playoffs, miss playoffs. I think when it comes to the playoff stuff, the price is just too steep for me because I do think they make the playoffs, but
Right.
minus 550. Holy smokes! Good luck.
Yeah.
I
on
was
this show.
I clicked on the under 11.5, but I just couldn't bring myself to it.
Regular season Kings, man. Yeah, they win 12 or more. That's just what they do. So, but what do you got for us?
Let's talk a little bit about just the Ravens as a whole. They're a ground and pound team, whether it's Lamar, whether it's King Henry, whether it's Justice Hill.
Right.
They love to run the ball, and I think I placed this exact same bet last year. It fell through by one game.
Was it one game? Oh, it was against your Steelers too,
It
right?
was against the Steelers. The Ravens to score one rushing touchdown in every regular season game, all 17 at 10-1. Like I said, it was one game off last year. I'm running it back. I think that they're able to get in the end zone on the ground at least once every game. Going back to the Pittsburgh-Baltimore thing, it's just one of those things where the Steelers play Baltimore really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Last year, towards the end of the season, they had an absolutely horrific 3 or 4 game stretch with Baltimore, I think ending that stretch and lost that one. So I think they do split the series yet again at 1-1 at plus 200.
Yeah.
And then we talked about Mark Andrews and how he's a touchdown machine. He's been Lamar's kind of go-to guy, especially once they get down inside the red zone. So I took 5+ touchdowns at plus 125.
Yeah. No, and
I will say that this is where you got to check around a little bit because I almost took the 6.5. That was at, I think, minus 110. So you got to check around a little bit.
Yeah. I was just going to talk about that. Yeah. This is, and you look, if you're watching this right now, or when this is released tomorrow, we're going to put this out. You get a bonus if you haven't seen it already. I'm not going to post it. I'm going to gatekeep it from the sport book. But yeah, no, DraftKings right now, they have Mark Andrews touchdown prop at 6.5, minus 110 each way. They, in a separate market, have 5+ receiving touchdowns at plus 125 and 10+ receiving touchdowns at plus 6-1 or plus 600. Excuse me. Those are wrong. Those are typos. Take the 5 receiving touchdowns at plus 125 right now.
Yes.
I saw that and I immediately said, "Wow, that is a mistake." So bet that now. If go look now, make sure you take the opportunity because I'm telling you now, that is not correct. That was a mistake by some intern who's probably going to get fired at some point. But we're not going to raise a giant stink on social media. So if you're watching this, congratulations. Hopefully it's still there for you. But take Mark Andrews 5 receiving touchdowns plus 125. And then take
I would go ahead and take the 6.5 too. But I mean,
but
I think he gets. I think he gets to 7. I'm not. I shouldn't say I would take it.
Right.
I think he gets to 7.
Well, I'm playing 10+ at 6-1. I think he gets to. I think he gets there. I mean, he had 11 in a season where he started super flat. I love Mark Andrews touchdowns there. Again, bet that now. And then you talked about the ground and pound team. It's the ground and pound king, Derrick Henry, over 1,375.5 rushing yards, minus 110 over at DraftKings. I already said it. the dude's a beast. He's in a very, very good situation. That can build in for some regression. He almost he had 1,900 yards, so he can have 500 yards less than he did last year and still go to this over. So I just think that, especially fourth quarter, second half, Derrick Henry, it's the last thing any defender wants to see, him coming downhill. Just ask our friend who we're going to talk about in a second in Minkah Fitzpatrick, how that worked out for him. So, yeah. The Baltimore Ravens, the kings of the regular season. We are going to be all over Mark Andrews. I bet that now for his touchdown prop. Derek thinks that they're going to split the series with the Steelers at 2-1, which they typically do. He also likes them to score a rushing touchdown in every single game. 10-1, one game away last season. And then do not fade King Henry, not on our watch. Take his over on the rushing there. And that is how we see the Ravens 2025 season playing out.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.